Pacalo Capito, and we'll be back with another video. Today, I'm going to be doing a podcast with my good friend Vigo. He is a Chiefs fan, and as you can see by his title, Mahomes is the best QB in the NFL, that he takes the Mahomes love too seriously. I mean, he put my name as Russell Wilson is the GOAT because he truly is. But yeah, we're going to be talking about today's games that happened between the Rams and the Packers and the and the Ravens and the Bills because there needs to be some points that need to be said during this game. And let's start this off by recapping the Rams and the Packers game because I clearly had fun watching the Rams go to Cabo today. And Jamal Adams said it perfectly. Like you guys talked us for too long. And what is your take on it, man?
Yeah, I just think they came in overconfident, and overall, the Packers are just a better team.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is Jared Goff is. We know that Jared Goff is a very inconsistent piece, and the best player for sure, Aaron Donald, was playing injured, and he said he was feeling no pain, but injuries always take a toll on someone.
Yeah.
And for Aaron Donald, someone who doesn't really get injured too often, it must have been a new experience for him, and we know that he gave his heart and soul, and I respect that even though he destroys Russell Wilson on an annual basis. I don't like that, but what I'm trying to say is also Jalen Ramsey, though he needs to be stopped at all costs because he is overconfident.
Yeah,
he was the one who's trash talked Seattle. I will never forgive you, but he trash talks other to a level, and then they prove him wrong every time. Like he did that with Josh Allen, and he did it with the Seahawks, and look where it got him. And yeah. So, does this game prove that Davante Adams is the best receiver in the league? Because he came out on top over Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey's locked down some really tough receivers like DK Metcalf and DeAndre Hopkins.
Not a tough receiver.
What do you mean? DeAndre Hopkins has the best hands in the NFL.
Hopkins, yeah.
And Metcalf has the best body in the NFL. Like, if I had a body like anyone, it would definitely be DK Metcalf.
He just doesn't have enough experience, and Ramsey's an expert, and that's why he came out on top.
I feel bad for the Jaguars. They literally had to get rid of him because he wasn't happy in Jacksonville because they were tanking.
It's not a good team. Superstar's not going to want to stay.
I feel like Trevor Lawrence is going to try to leave Jacksonville first plane to a winning team.
He might actually bring them up, although I don't think he's that good. I'm on the anti Jennifer Lawrence side.
Damn, you're calling him Jennifer Lawrence, but hey, it's fine. We know that he didn't convince people too much at the semifinals against the Ohio State Buckeyes, where Justin Fields put on a show. We know he got banged up a few times, and he's in the same situation as Aaron Donald. He played through pain, and we know what it cost him. It cost him a championship title. And does his stock take a dip after that game against Alabama or anything?
This is my take on the whole Trevor Lawrence situation. I think he's a good QB. Of course, obviously he's young, but people are putting too much pressure on him. He's not an insane player. He's not a guy who's going to come out and win MVP in his second season like Lamar or Mahomes. He's a guy who's probably going to end up going to the NFL, being a good QB, being a decent QB. But I never think he's going to be like a MVP caliber. I think people are hyping him up way too much.
So then if Trevor Lawrence isn't the one with the most biggest ceiling, then who is it for you?
I really didn't watch that much college football this year, but I have. If you asked me Trevor Lawrence,
there's Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields.
Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. I say Justin Fields.
Okay, wow. And would you make that pick if you were Urban Meyer? Like, would you make?
If I were Urban Meyer, I'd go for because Justin Fields is a hit or miss QB, just like Lamar was today, and will be. Like, he's a guy who Justin Fields could have a game and pass for 200 yards, rush for 100 yards, but then he could have like 8 games in a row where He's not. If you want to build a franchise around him, you need someone who's probably is never going to be MVP, which Justin Fields could end up being, and
Yeah.
is just going to be a solid guy. Like Lawrence is kind of like an Aaron Rodgers. It's a stable guy who you can rely on.
Yeah. For me, Justin Fields doesn't remind me Lamar Jackson because people were having doubts about Lamar Jackson's accuracy, but Justin Fields,
Yeah,
like, he was putting up numbers where, like, in the early seasons, he was putting, like, 6 touchdowns in this game versus, like, incompletions, like, in one game or that kind of stuff. So that kind of proves to me that accuracy is not his main issue. And what I'm thinking is maybe he's more like a Murray type of player, if you
yeah.
get what
The
I'm
thing
saying.
is,
Like,
yeah.
I think
Well,
he's
go
Murray,
ahead.
but he has the potential to actually, like, surpass Murray at one
Yeah,
stage.
for sure. Lamar Jackson is just uncomparable to anyone, but that's what I think. That's my NFL
Lamar Jackson,
comparison.
yeah, Lamar Jackson, people were thinking of putting him at receiver or running back because they
He could
had
have been.
doubts over his
Yeah.
accuracy. I remember. And I remember watching him at Louisville, like, wow, why isn't he being talked about more? Didn't he win a Heisman Trophy? Does that not mean anything to someone? Like,
I mean, even today is just lackluster overall. He threw a 101-yard pick with a 1 yard pick with a 101-yard touchdown return. That's just
yeah.
yeah, it's just too much for everyone to handle on the Ravens side.
Yeah, again, the Ravens need a number one receiver in my opinion. I think we saw this pretty clearly. Lamar Jackson was also trying to do too much, as we saw. He was trying to extend plays for too long, and we saw him take lots of sacks for that result that resulted in big losses of yards. I remember like thinking about this. Like, they're playing a lot. He's just trying to do too much, and sometimes just try to get the ball in the hands of your players when you need to, and just try to get some yardage. Or, like, if you go for boom or bust, so there are times where you just lose a lot of yardage and it's gonna look bad. And we know Justin Tucker had a meltdown today, and I know he's gonna bounce back because, again, in my opinion, in most people's opinion, he's the best kicker in the NFL because he's just
Absolutely
the most accurate and the most, what do you call, consistent.
consistent. Absolutely, yes.
Like, before this season, he scored 141 points 6 or 7 seasons in a row, which was insane. And I think we all know that it's just a one-off game for him, and anyone can have that kind of game. Even Mahomes, he had that game against the
No,
Dolphins.
no.
Yeah, no, we got to talk about that
Mahomes
ridiculous
doesn't mess up.
30-yard sack
Only
that
against the
he did.
Raiders. Only against the Raiders.
No, the Dolphins. What do you mean? What do you mean, man? Like, okay.
I mean, they
Okay,
ended
enough
up
with
winning that game, so
enough with that. But let's more talk about the Ravens and the Bills game because
yeah.
that one just happened, and I know that there are a lot of important parts to talk about. Like, we thought that Lamar Jackson was over his playoff hump, that he couldn't win a game to save his life, but no, I think this game just proved that the Titans was just a one-off game, and the reason they lost was because Derrick Henry was not being that one-man carry team.
So this is my take on this game. I really think the Bills got very, very lucky. Lamar Jackson played poorly, but that interception was in the red zone. Could have easily been a touchdown. That game could have been 10-10. And then at the
Yeah.
end of the game, they were in the red zone again, and Tyler Huntley just couldn't do it. He went 4 and out because of Lamar Jackson was out with a concussion. If
Yeah.
Lamar wasn't out, he could have maybe scrambled for it or passed it. But I really think the Bills got very lucky in that game, and it was a very close game.
And like you said about that 101-yard pick, it could have been a touchdown, but then also let's just factor in that Justin Tucker made those field goals from inside the 50-yard line. They would have gained 6 more points, and they would have scored a touchdown. The tide would have turned on the Bills. But let's just say this: Josh Allen wasn't as convincing as I thought he would be. But again, the Ravens have a good secondary in Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey with Jimmy Smith as their slot corner. I think that, yes, they are a very good team, and they did counter they did counter Josh Allen very well, but Stephon Diggs was a problem, and
Yeah.
he went for 8 yards, 8 receptions for 106 yards and a TD. Does this make him a top three receiver in the league?
Top three is a bit of a stretch, but I think he's up there. He's a baller.
He is a baller, and that trade was a win-win for the Vikings and the Bills because in that first round pick that the Bills shipped out to the Vikings, they got Justin Jefferson in that
Yeah,
class.
they got JJ, right?
Yeah, they got him, and they got a fourth and a sixth, and in their case, the Bills got a top five receiver, and they turned Josh Allen to a top three QB in a snap of a finger like that, and I'm very
and
glad to see this. So
going back to-
recently, I talked about the trade options between the Deshaun Watson and Tua Tagovailoa, but there seems to be a new turn that Niners fans are getting excited because he posted a picture of him in a Joe Montana jersey. Does that prove anything to you? Does that
can-
show that he wants to be on the 49ers?
No, a guy can wear any jersey he wants. That might, he might just be like a cheeky guy hinting to it, but I really think no, it's just guys just like Joe Montana is repping his jersey.
Yeah. But my question is, why would he go to the 49ers? His receiving situation would barely be any better than the one he had at Texans. We know that the 49ers are notorious for not having a good receiver since Anquan Bolden and Michael Crabtree, but the receiving core, they have potential, but I think he wants to be in a situation where he has a true number one receiver to throw to at all times when he needs it. And he needs a team with winning culture. And I don't know if once you get your defensive coordinator ripped out of your hands, because that defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh, was a very, very good one. He
Agreed.
consistently led the defense to be a top five defense. Even with the injured personnel, he turned Jason Verrett back to a very, very good corner. And I do think Jason Verrett will be in demand once he leaves the 49ers. But
If he does.
he probably will, but that's because Robert Saleh has left, and Robert Saleh has done a very, very good job. I commend him, and I commend the Jets for actually signing him. But what I'm saying is that I think Deshaun Watson wants to be in a winning culture where he can believe that the team can make it far into the playoffs. It's only a year back since the Texans were up 24-0, but their two best players were ripped out of their hands, which were DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson. So, where do I actually think that Deshaun Watson will actually go? Again, I said I was against this Tua Tagovailoa trade, but I do see it happening. Do you?
I think the best move, this might be controversial, but I actually like the Niners move for Watson. To me, it just seems like a similar situation to what he has at the Texans with J.J. Watt and Nick Bosa, the receivers he has at the Niners, but it's kind of more of a winning culture there to me, and also everyone is younger. It's basically just a younger version of his current team, and I can see that he might. California is a good place to live in, and I think he might want just everything like that. And there was news that the reason that he's gonna ask for a trade, one of the reasons is because
Jack Easterby was garbage at his job.
Also, he asked the front office to interview Saleh for the coaching job, and they refused.
Yeah, but what I'm hearing, reports. This is something I heard from a news site. But I was hearing that maybe Nick Bosa was going to be a make-way for this trade. And he might be actually part of this trade that sends Deshaun Watson to the 49ers.
That's a huge mistake.
I feel like that is a mistake. See, Nick Bosa is your biggest asset right now. If you talk about asset and things for the future, you keep Nick Bosa. That's one thing. And people are also saying Jimmy Garoppolo is part of that deal.
Get him out of there.
Yeah, you need to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo's contract as soon as you can. But I don't know if Houston are actually willing to take that deal. Would they?
They'd probably just take anything they can get. If they can get Tua, they'll be very happy. But I think also going back to the Russell Wilson thing, I think he's gonna love working with Mostert if that trade does happen. it's gonna be a very dynamic run game, and I
Yeah,
think it's gonna be
yeah.
kind of a Lamar J.K. Dobbins situation.
And
Except
Raheem Mostert is a very, very fast running back from what I've
agreed,
seen.
fastest in the league, I think.
Not, are you forgetting about Tyreek Hill? Or
No, running back.
running back? Well, you can also put Derrick Henry. We saw he ran like 21 miles per hour, and he's still considered that slow. But
I
yeah,
don't know. Derrick Henry's not like he's not. I don't think he's faster than most.
yeah, I don't think he's faster than Mozart, but what I'm saying is, yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the Packers game. Did we already talk about that?
We slightly grazed it, but
I mean, I just don't think there's much information to be given. Jared Goff was hurt. He still had a
I
good
still think
game.
even if Jared Goff wasn't hurt, I still think that Rams would have lost this game
Yeah,
because
the Rams are just
if this was Jared Goff from the 2018 season, yes, there is a bigger chance that they'd win. But since this is not Jared Goff from 2018 and this is more Jared Goff post Super Bowl meltdown, then yeah.
I just don't think they just it wasn't in the cards for the Rams at all since the beginning, since this morning, since they beat Seattle. It was just not going to happen, I didn't think.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I think their confidence again, a Super Bowl loss can do terrible things to a team. Not even just 1 year, but also down the line, like 3, 4, 5 seasons. And I feel like that is what the Rams are going through. Like we're kind of seeing a little bit of a dip of production from Aaron Donald. As we know, he's more like 15 to 20 sack around that. This year he got 13 and a half sacks, which was tied second with Trey Hendrickson, and he was below TJ Watt. But what I'm saying is, and also like the receivers are dropping off a little bit. Cooper Kupp, we know he's still one of the best slot receivers in the NFL right now.
He didn't
But like Robert
participate
Woods
in
has
today's
dropped off a
game.
little bit. We know Todd Gurley has completely fallen off, and he's joined Atlanta from last season. They had to get Cam Akers from the draft, and it's just it happens to the best of us. The 49ers just they missed the playoffs. Mainly that had to do with injuries and MetLife Field crisis, but a Super Bowl loss can be very detrimental to a team, and I think it kind of showed here.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, let's go to the to this podcast prediction time for tomorrow's games. Big
All right.
games, big game on the line for the Chiefs against the Browns are just the Browns.
I've got the Chiefs winning this one 30-17. Actually no, I do think Browns are going to score more than 17. I have to take into account that Jarvis Landry is back and the Chiefs haven't done anything to solve their secondary issues. Again, they have to start with L'Jarius Sneed and Bashar Breeland. So,
Yeah, I guess.
it's going to be
That's gonna be tough.
30-24. It's going to be a very close game, and I do think the Chiefs are going to come up on top.
So you're saying so the Chiefs are expected to win by I believe 10 points. So you're saying Chiefs win and cover.
The Chiefs win. Yes, I do.
And
but
they cover the spread. They win by more than 10.
no, they don't win by more than 10. They
So you're
win-
saying they win but do not cover the spread.
they do not. They do not.
Okay, that's very good
That's
prediction.
what I'm thinking. I think the Chiefs are going to underestimate the Browns a little bit. That's what my thought process also is.
I don't know. There's some things that are gonna go into this. Actually, it is believed that well, and it's not believed. It's on the official NFL website. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is questionable for tomorrow's game.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
I think Watkins is out too. Fenton is questionable. They got a lot of injuries, but I don't want to be overconfident as a Chiefs fan like Juju was. But at the end of the day, he's right. The Browns are just the Browns, and the
Okay,
Chiefs
buddy.
are just. I mean, to me, even not looking at it in a biased way, they're just the most high functioning team in the NFL.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
you see them
I
run their
understand.
2 minute drill.
Andy Reid
They're a
has
quick
done
team.
wonders.
They can come back from like 20-point deficit. I find it very
It's very hard
very
to beat this
difficult.
Chiefs team. I do think so, and they would have won 15-1 like I predicted if they didn't put on Chad Henne. What is this?
I
Anyone but
mean, they just wanted to give
they just
Mahomes
wanted. I know,
another look.
but like in my opinion, I covered this in a previous video that Henne should not be your starter. He should also maybe not even be your backup at times because, as we've seen, he's been a very unreliable QB in the NFL. But I do think the Browns are going to lose, but they're going to give a good fight, and I think people will be proud of them. And
Yeah,
we're
I
going to
mean,
go on to the Buccaneers Saints because we haven't touched on this one, and it's the battle of the grandpas, as we saw.
can I say something about the Chiefs game
Yeah,
again?
yeah, you can say it.
So the thing with Chad Henne and the reason why they played him, I believe, is
Rest
Andy
him.
Reid looked at it in this way that they're taking a chance at Mahomes getting injured, potentially even one of the
Yeah,
players purposefully injuring Mahomes. And would you rather take a loss and play Chad Henne once or play Chad Henne through the playoffs?
I would, of course, you'd rather take the loss. But
Yeah.
the thing is that maybe the Chiefs, they have such a good roster, maybe they can settle for a bit better of a backup. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you get what you can,
yeah, it's fine. So,
So
the
moving
battle
on,
of the
as you
grandpas,
said,
here we are, and
Battle of
the
the Grandpas
combined
indeed.
age is going to be 84 years old, which
84
is
million years old.
84 years old for both QBs. Back when Queen Elizabeth was a toddler.
44 and 40, right? Or 43, 41.
43 and 41 or 42. But Tom Brady is a lot better than Drew Brees at this current point. I know I criticized Tom Brady for just dropping off because I recorded a video on the top 7 QBs in the NFL right when Tom Brady was having a bad slump. But he's come back and he's proven that he still has a job to do and he can still be part of a Super Bowl winning team. Now, do I think the Super Bowl team will be the Buccaneers? No. Because
No.
Bruce Arians, when he retired, he basically lost a little bit of coaching ability and he basically hates Tom Brady with a burning passion. But, like, Tom Brady, he threw like did he throw like 40 touchdown passes or something? Or am I tripping?
I'll
He
check
threw
that.
around 30 or 40 touchdown passes, which was ridiculous. And I'm really proud of him for that. He's 43.
40
So,
touchdowns. Total
yeah,
touchdowns.
40 touchdowns is
Rushing
ridiculous.
plus passing.
Yeah, so he basically put a record that for record touchdown passes for a Buccaneer in history. And considering they had Jameis Winston who threw the ball like every single time, that is incredible. But the keys to the game are Buccaneers need to act like this was the Washington football team because Brady was so good that game, and as we know, they are allergic to beating playoff teams. In the regular season, they got slapped twice by the Saints, and this is with Drew Brees not playing at his peak or near peak anymore. Let's just admit it, he doesn't throw the deep ball anymore because he basically lost all his arm strength. Like the past few seasons before this season, he was playing like a top 5 QB. You can make a case for top 3, but this year he has not been that great, and many people are expecting him to retire.
So keys to the game defensively for the Bucks. What do you think?
They need to get Michael Thomas under control and Alvin Kamara. Those two, they have a good defensive line. Like they have Shaquille Barrett, they have JPP, they have Ndamukong Suh. So I think and Vita Vea. Of course, I can't forget Vita Vea.
The Ndamukong Suh is questionable to play for COVID protocol.
Oh, well, that's one I brought a nip in the bud. But what I'm saying is, you can still take away Ndamukong Suh, and you still have Vita Vea, Shaquille Barrett as an outside linebacker. You still have JPP. That's still very, very
He's
good.
not going to play. He's knee injury, questionable to play. JPP.
God help me.
Yeah, it's going to be tough out there.
Yeah, they don't have a great secondary. Like, I would I would trust
Um,
more people than Carlton Davis to do the job, but I wouldn't complain.
he's also questionable to play,
Oh my God, help
and
me.
so is their safety Jordan Whitehead
What
and safety
about
Andrew Adams, not
and what
injury related
about
though.
Antoine Winfield Jr.?
I don't see anything about him on the injury roster.
All right, Antoine Winfield Jr. is going to be playing. That's a good thing to know because
Hmm.
he was a top 10 rookie this year, and
For
you can
sure,
make a case that he was better than Jeremy Chin, and
I would absolutely be making that case.
you can. Jeremy Chin, he scored a few touchdowns because of fumbles, and he was very good. He was a second round pick that was drafted out of D2 football, which is rare. He
Very
must have
rare.
been so good in D2 that people couldn't like take their eyes off of him.
I think he was just like a mystery pick. People saw something in him that not many people did, and it ended up paying off.
But to make a transition from D2 football to NFL
It's
and
got to
do
be
it so
crazy.
seamlessly, that's very
Hmm.
good.
A lot of skill involved and passion.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'll take keys of the game for the Saints. And so, what's your prediction for this game?
Um I do think the Saints are gonna win because again, Bruce Arians is gonna have a midlife meltdown this game too. He's probably gonna throw something at Tom Brady because again he has a hatred for Tom Brady. I can't explain it, but I just think that they're gonna Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara are gonna destroy whatever the Buccaneers have because as you said they're shorthanded. Like Carlton Davis is gonna be out. Then Dominican
Questionable,
Sue,
questionable as well.
JPP. If they
Questionable.
don't play, then they're gone. They're done for. And
I don't know. I don't know. So,
but
do you think
and
they cover the spread? They're
what's the
supposed
spread?
New Orleans by 3 is the spread.
Yeah, yeah, I think this will be a one possession game, but I do think they'll cover the spread.
Okay. All right. So I think keys to for the Saints game. Should I start defense or offense?
You can start with offense.
Offensively, I just say get Kamara involved. They clearly have some holes in that defense. There injuries everywhere.
Their
Lackluster
their
defense in the last
their
few games.
secondary isn't bad by any means. Janoris Jenkins,
It's not bad.
it's not bad, but
but
it's not as good as it could be.
Offensively, I really think the Saints just need to get Kamara involved. I don't think
Yeah.
he was involved enough last week, even though they still got that win.
Yeah, but it's the Bears. You don't need to do anything, and you still win against
True.
the Bears.
Defensively, I think their Chris Godwin did not participate in practice, and neither did Mike Evans.
Oh,
So
if
both of
any of
those
them
guys
miss
are-
the game again, this will be game over. I
Both
know
of
they
those
still
guys
have
are out?
Antonio Brown, and he is
Yeah,
basic. He's not at his former self because his former self is hard to reach because he was the best receiver in the league at some point. But I do think he's been playing very well for the role he's been given and the way they have depth. They have a lot of tight ends like O.J. Howard, Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate. They have receivers in Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Scotty Miller, and Johnson. I think it was Tyler Johnson. Yeah.
yeah. So I think defensively, just run a lot of man coverage, exploit that weakness at receiver. That no matter what, even if they're going to be playing, they're obviously going to have some.
And
Ambiguity.
Demario Davis needs to have a big game.
Demario
Demario
Davis
Davis and Trey Hendrickson.
Oh, by the way, Ronald Jones is also questionable to play.
Leonard Fournette's not that bad. Okay. But
not.
yeah, they
I
oh
believe-
yeah, no.
I believe,
Saints the Saints biggest thing is they have Cameron Jordan and they have Trey Hendrickson get pressure on the QB
For sure.
because the Buccaneers are not very good when Tom Brady gets sacked twice or more in a game. And if Tom Brady doesn't get sacked at all or less than twice, then he wins. He won every game like that.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is true. I've checked it.
I would. So this is it's a weird prediction, but I think even through all the injuries, I think Drew Brees is gonna have a bad game. And looking at the odds and all the injuries, I really want to say Saints, but the odds are so against Tampa Bay. So this is what I'm gonna say. I think New Orleans win and they cover. But if I were betting and I was a Saints fan, I would put $20 on Tampa Bay. So at least if you if your team loses, then at least you'll get a bunch of money for it because the odds are stacked against the Bucks.
Yeah. Again, the Bucks are not very good against playoff teams, as we saw.
True.
And the football team is no exception. We can consider them a non-playoff team for their record and how easy their division was to win. So,
Yep.
I'm gonna cross that one
I
off the
think,
list.
that might be all we got.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening into this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoyed my company and my good friend Vigo. / Mahomes is the best QB in the NFL, which is true for this season. Is it? No, not this season, but for previous seasons, yes. But all right, if you want to see
Make
more
sure-
videos like this, make sure to like, comment,
Tune in.